What's good? What's up, Toy Mafia? I go by Osiris, this is Middle MAGA, and there comes a time in life when, as a man, you have to step up. And it's just a generic type of saying, but I think many people understand what I'm talking about, is that there are certain things, men and women are different fundamentally, on purpose. And there's time for women to step up. It's not just one-sided. So you go through life and you might look at it and you might say, this is a time for a man to step up. And I just had Stephen Ignoramus on for what I thought was a great discussion. Ray Studios, friend of the show, of course, says, make America straight again. And had Stephen Ignoramus on, and he brought a perspective that I completely overlooked this perspective with this debate. I'm going to play this clip, and this, a lot of this live is going to revolve around this clip. So let me just play it since that's what's going to happen here. And I don't know, I'm upset at myself that I didn't have this perspective because this is the number one perspective. But first, let me play the clip. It's about 1 minute and 12 seconds long. You might have heard it already. I played it earlier today. I want to get my thoughts off on this.
You're talking about that there's this epidemic in the Black community of fatherlessness. What have you done to combat fatherlessness in the Black community?
Okay, so you're accepting that we have an issue with fatherlessness in the Black community. You're accepting that, I assume.
I'm not. You said that.
I didn't think so. So you're not accepting it, and you're asking me, what am I doing about something you don't accept?
No, you're my question is clear as day. Is that have you not done anything to combat fatherlessness?
You just now acknowledged, in your opinion, that what I just now said isn't even a problem.
Larry, please answer, what have you done to combat fatherlessness?
I'm waiting for Rachel to answer my question. Then I'll respond.
I've already answered that question.
So you want me to respond to a problem?
Larry,
it's your campaign, Larry. Larry, this is your campaign. Your campaign is about fatherlessness. I'm giving you the floor to talk about how you have combat fatherlessness because you say it is such an issue in this country, and you don't want to answer the question.
I'm happy to answer the question, provided that you acknowledge that there is a problem.
Larry, get the fuck out of here.
Okay, there it is. And that's the clip that spawned all of this. There are many things that are, I'm not going to address it right away. I just want to get the clip out the way. That's the main reason for this live. And there's many different scenarios where I look at it and it's obvious a father needs to be involved. That is not to be disrespectful to a mother. I can give you one example. We had my 7-year-old playing flag football, and we're watching him in practice. And they're going through the gauntlet, but it's flag football. It's not going through the gauntlet like when you go through tackle where you got the running back has the ball and everybody else is trying to knock the ball out. In this gauntlet, they're just trying to take the flag. They're 7 years old. They're learning how to play. And he goes through the gauntlet and he trips because everybody's feet are all over the place. He's running through the gauntlet. He trips, falls down, and he starts crying. It wasn't like out of control crying, but he's crying, so he has to come out to the sideline. I go over to him, and my first thought is, okay, let's just make sure there's nothing serious happening. So I kind of ask him, hey, what's up? Does anything hurt? He not really, like, nah, I'm okay. He's just more embarrassed or whatever. He needs to touch grass. And so I'm like, okay, sit down. And my wife and I are off to the side. I'm like, no, you're not going to come sit by us. You're going to come sit right there on the sideline with your team until you get back in the game. My wife hadn't seen what happened, and so she got up and, I had already told him to sit down, and I was walking away because we had already talked. She didn't see all that. So then she comes over, she sees him crying, she's asking him like 20 questions, and I'm like, he's good. Let's let him go. And after the game, we had to have a conversation. This is a father-son moment. And she wasn't happy that in the moment I didn't make a big deal out of it, that I was kind of telling her, leave him alone. She's like, I want to talk to my kid. This is a father-son moment. You're going to have mother-son moments. This is a moment where you need to fall back. You need to fall back. I got this. If I tell you I got this, I got this. As far as this sports stuff and injury, and this is why he's playing sports, to learn that you can fall, assess if you're really hurt or not, and get back up and do the drill again. He's 7 years old. That's a bigger lesson than anything else. Pretty much up there with catching the football. That is a man's moment. And there's no right or wrong. That's an opinion. But you chose me just like I chose you. And this is me telling you, you chose me for these moments. And if we had daughters, you would probably have more daughter moments because didn't have any sisters. I don't know what to do with that. Our father's still involved, but you know what I mean. And that's just a little aspect of it. And that's what Stephen Ignoramus brought to the live earlier today. But we see it in all walks of life. We talked about the Philly situation the other day. Here's an update. We've got this thing. I don't know what this thing is. Well, here we go again. Another fat, out of shape, I don't know what it is, non-binary looking black thing. And it's okay. That's fine. Like if you're that and you're fighting for the right things, I'm on your side. I'm call you queen, king, whatever you go by. I'm good with that. But this is a young person that doesn't have proper parenting and a father figure in their life. I don't know the situation. I don't need to know the situation. That was one of the things. I'm not going to relive this too much because I think Maj, to me, has been better. So I don't want to relive this. But this was that thing where the same debate, before I go into this person's name is Meatball, I guess, whatever their nickname is, the developing story on this BLM rider from Philly. This is the one that had the camera and was ratting on themselves, rioting and looting. Just really brilliant stuff, everyone. But this goes back to, remember, Maj was talking and came at Matt Walsh because I think it was a black boy swinging on it was a girl, and the black boy was just on the girl swinging, and Matt Walsh said something to the effect of, you were raised by animals or something like that. And Maj Toure was like, no, how could you tell? What do you mean, how could I tell that person was raised by animals? Because it's a boy, slamming a head on a defenseless girl. That's how I know. I don't need anything else. I don't know the details. I didn't get into the details of the home. I don't know if they were there, if they weren't there. I don't care if they were there every day. Something went wrong where they raised animals. And that's the same thing here. There's a father issue here, a mother issue as well. But I'm a man. I'm going to talk about the father issue here. This is the update. This is developing from one of my favorite accounts. I meme, therefore I am. Developing BLM rioter Meatball. Lovely looking thing. Is that a male or a female? What is happening in our society? I don't know. I don't know what. Just decide what you want to be. This is Meatball merch. And own what you want to be. Maybe you want to be non-bi. Own it. I don't know what this is. And Meatball, after being released, so Meatball got arrested. No, Meatball wasn't too happy about that. Meatball doesn't get arrested, right? Because black is good. So Meatball probably wanted to sue at this point for Meatball rioting and causing a disturbance and ratting themselves out. Meatball, after being released, declares, so I believe it's a woman. You heard the voice on the, whatever, it's a girl. I don't know what age this is. Declares herself innocent, even though she streamed herself looting a few locations. She's innocent. Is that where we're going now? We saw you on film. You put yourself on film. And here it goes. It gets better. She's selling merch. Now, that's based. Meatball merch. I'm fine with that. That's capitalism. Do that. That's just like Trump. Trump went on Twitter and did the same thing, even though he really is being persecuted. But that's irrelevant to the take there. But let's listen to Meatball.
Be expunged off my record.
The comments on here are
All that
funny.
needs to be expunged.
I'm gonna play it, then I'm gonna read the comments. Some of them are hilarious.
All that needs to be expunged off my record, bro. Like what? I am an innocent person, bro. I am not a trouble person. I am a good person. I am you know what I'm saying? I'm a businesswoman. Like, I don't like this. I don't honestly, okay, yeah, I'm trending. Yeah, ha, geeky. But to be trending like this, though, for real, though. Yeah, okay, I'm trending like this, switch it around. You know what I'm saying? Okay, cool. But damn, trending like this. Really, though. You know, I got feelings, too.
Somebody said in the chat, Niggas acting like they did 29 years.
All that needs to be expunged off my record, bro. Like what? I am an innocent person, bro. I am not a trouble person. I am a good person. I am you know what I'm saying? I'm a businesswoman.
So that's the reaction. We knew that was going to be the reaction from people who. Why do you think they're filming themselves doing these crimes? Because they don't think anything's going to happen to them. That's why they're doing it. So that's no surprise. But I much respect to the meatball merch though. I'll give you respect for that. That is a businesswoman right there. So I got no problem with you on that one. That's the update there, and that's someone without a to me an effective positive father figure in their lives. At some point, something went wrong there. I don't know what it is. Don't pretend to know. $2 super chat. Ray says Steven felt off with what I tagged you guys in. With what the Magables? So I could talk to him. I mean, everybody don't have to be in. We still do our thing. If you don't know, Ray Studios put everybody's face on a little poster, and he tagged it Magables, which is you can do a meme, and we will probably do like a Twitter space or maybe stream or whatever. We'd figure out something using the collective power of everybody who's cool to maximize each other's platform, whatever, and really have good discussion. So that's what it was about. So I don't know. You can hit me up. It's okay. We can talk with Steven and see how he feels. But everybody's not even down with MAGA #1. So once you call something MAGA, there's people are going to be in their feelings. And not saying that's Steven's problem. We talked about MAGA on the stream, but it's hard to do something like that. So you can tweak it or whatever and get the most people in. And even if it's not, even if he's not like an official part of it, he can jump into the Twitter space or live in any way. He just, you don't have to be officially affiliated with it. It's hard to get, what was it, 10 people? I think it was more than 10 people. It's hard to get 10 people all up together like that. So you look at the father issue, you don't need to go too deep on it. Here's someone who, to me, lacks a positive father figure in their lives. And this is how Meatball kind of looks at this type of thing probably and is like, go ahead, girl, go ahead.
If somebody decides to loot a Gucci or a Macy's or a Nike, because that makes sure that person eats. That makes sure that person has clothes. That's reparations. That is reparations. Anything they want to take it, because these businesses have insurance. They're going to get their money back. My people aren't getting anything. If somebody...
Yeah, that's not going to work for me as a father. So that's the mentality we played. That's the classic clip. We played that back in 2020 with the Summer of Love. And we're gearing up to 2024. But I remember my dad got laid off once and was like, nah, as far as unemployment, was like, hey, I can't be depending on the state for money. Let me get another job real quick. And my father is very frugal, saved up his money. So when he was laid off, our lifestyle, we weren't poor, but we weren't rich. Never really changed because he had saved up his money, then quickly got another job. It was like, he was like, you're going to have to make that decision when you grow up, but I'm not going to be out here collecting government cheese and money from the state. What do I look like? Do I look like a damn idiot or bum needing to collect money off of that? Nah, that's not instilled from father. Sometimes there's only a certain way a father can say something. Ray Studios says, no, it was about the black woman in Congress. Oh, I don't know. Is that the one I retweeted? So I can get to that story. We'll cover that story too. I forgot even what her name was, but that's the point. This black woman in Congress is just the typical black woman. Just at least she's not overweight. That's a positive. And I'm not saying that to be a joke. I mean, it's like we're all struggling with Ray and I. We all talked about our weight issues. Mac has bad knees. We saw a clip from me from like 2 years ago. He's like, damn, you lost weight. So, but she is, now we know her name. And I think that was the whole point of her rant. We will get to that. But Stephen Ignoramus, let me play the clip that got me into this to talk about it from this standpoint. And this is the best take I've heard on it. He had never seen the clip before, and that maybe sometimes that's good. He had never seen that clip I started the show with, and I have a little bit of it in here if you missed the start of the show, so you'll get the gist of it here. But I want to play this. This is Stephen Ignoramus going super bass, ultra based bro on the show earlier today, this evening.
I'm waiting for Rachel to answer my question. Then I'll respond.
I've already answered that question.
So you want me to respond to a problem, to answer
no,
what
Larry.
It's your campaign, Larry.
The problem's just women, dude. I mean, and that's not the only problem, but that's
Have you not done anything to combat fatherlessness?
you just now acknowledged, in your opinion, that what I just now said isn't even a
Wow.
problem.
if it was just men talking like men, especially behind closed doors, this would be a much better scene, be more godly.
Larry, please answer, what have you done to combat fatherlessness?
Larry, this is your campaign. Your campaign is about fatherlessness. I'm giving you the floor to talk about how you have combat fatherlessness because you say it is such an issue in this country and you don't want to answer the question.
I'm happy to answer the question, provided that you acknowledge that there is a problem.
Larry, get the fuck out of here.
The problem's just women, dude. I mean, and that's not the only problem, but that's, every guy knows, especially if a guy plays sports, that the dynamic shifts the minute a woman can come in the room if guys are talking and she doesn't even need to speak. So this part of it is not the woman's fault. Okay, this first argument I'm going to make. The second one is, but if there's guys speaking, trying to handle something important, and a woman enters the room, people start speaking differently. Sometimes the men will start speaking more boisterously to like overcorrect. A certain amount will simp, a certain will try to go alpha mode. Women mess everything up. And that's even before she starts speaking. Now, when the woman starts speaking, it becomes her problem and her fault because it's never good. It ramps up and look at the end there.
That there is a problem.
Larry, get the fuck out of here.
The beta male, it needs to give her some sort of credence, so he ends the stream. American politics would be solved in less than 2 years if it was all men in politics. I mean, voting in the rooms, and especially if we were able to handle things behind closed doors. I didn't put this in the tweet, but I will say, and also leaving the room open for potential beatdowns. If that was the dynamic again, this would get cleaned up quick.
And that's the clip. And that the best take I've heard on that yet. We're talking about an issue of fatherlessness. And that's a discussion for men, by definition. And this woman, whatever her name is, it's a Higher Learning podcast. It's on The Ringer. I didn't even know that. Isn't that, I forgot his name. I used to be in sports and watching, he used to be on ESPN. Somebody in the chat, give it to me, man. The guy, didn't he start his own podcast thing? I used to love listening to him and his NBA shows. And then and it's fine. He branched out to all this stuff, but disappointing to see them handle a conversation like that with intellectual dishonesty. I went back and listened to, I didn't get to the whole stream. They talked for about an hour, it looked like. So I got through about half of it, and it was very tense. And leading up to that moment that we saw the clip, that was the end of it. That clip, it was a lot of disrespect. Larry Elder went on their podcast in their world. They were disrespectful to him the whole time on every topic. It wasn't like blatant disrespect. It was like shade disrespect. Like, hey, Larry, why are you polling at 1%? Why do you think? And then he would answer the question. They'd be like, well, but no, you didn't answer. Why you think? He's like, I did answer. What? Donald Trump's dominating everything. I'm above Asa Hutchinson. But no, that wasn't. Why are you under 1%? Like real disrespect, kind of shade type stuff. And you could see them kind of with their attitude. So as it went on, Larry was more like, this is a hostile environment. That's why it went like that. So you do have to kind of watch these things to get the context. But regardless of that, Larry should have answered the question. He didn't get a chance to answer the question, though. He didn't get a chance to answer the question. When they went through that, boom, gone. And I had no problem with Larry Elder saying, wait, hold up. I came on the podcast, and he came on some piece. Larry Elder is a distinguished gentleman. He's not on any type of beef stuff. He doesn't. I haven't. Well, you know, he had a little bit of tension with Charlemagne, but it was like because there was that you're coming at me, but he's never like overtly or even like subtle disrespect. He's very respectful. So from the beginning, he's like, I love the black community. They get into all that nonsense, man. I don't get into that nonsense, but Larry Elder does. He's like, oh, I love the black community, but he says, I love everybody too. This is what I want. And so the message is really from him, black excellence. We also talked about that with Stephen Ignoramus. He's like, Larry Elder's basic message is, I promote black excellence. You want a father in the home, right? Why are you arguing with that? What a bizarre position to take. He's like, well, I think we have a fatherlessness problem. And they're like, no. And they're all amped up. Like, oh, how are you going to solve it? Like, God damn, would you calm down? What is wrong with you? You would have thought he was racist or something. It's insane. Ray Studio explains Steven doesn't like the headstand meme because it's smut. Oh, okay. Yeah, that's fine. I get into the smut. I get into the sewers, so I'll be down there with the ninja. I'll be down there in the sewers, man. I'll just be hanging out. So as you've seen, the show has gotten more spicy. It is not for children like it was. Maybe it was children friendly a year ago. But you see the concern there. You got the tension. Then it's like, this is a basic question. And then now it's like you're asking me, well, what are you doing to solve the problem? Which is a legitimate question, but it is fair to put your foot down and say, wait a second, let me understand where you all are at. Because this is a discussion. It's not like a 10-minute interview where it's like, this is a back and forth discussion. And he asked them also, like, what do you believe? Where do you see systemic racism? So they had back and forth. So it's perfectly fair for him to say, wait a second, y'all don't even think there is a fatherlessness problem. So why are you asking me about how to solve it? And I was thinking about that because you could look at the weather. People talk about climate change and all this stuff. And I'm like, I don't know if there's a problem or not. I don't make it because it's hard to say. I'm not an expert in that. I just know whatever you try to do to solve it, it has to be constitutional. But I bring that up to say, even though I might not be convinced of the problem, I will ask what people's solution is to it. Why? Because I want to make sure it's constitutional. I don't really care what your solution is to a problem that you haven't sold me on. You've got to sell me on the problem. So that is different than that. I think Larry is absolutely right to say, you don't believe in it, so I don't even understand why you're asking me about it. But then to answer it, didn't get that chance. Stephen Ignoramus's take was, you've got a woman in the room. That's a problem. It is absolutely a problem. This is a father problem. This is an issue with fathers in the home. I need to talk man to man. Something I would have never thought of, would have never said even a year ago. And I agree 100%. You saw the energy was all on her side. Nah, it needs to be him and Larry. And then another thing that Stephen said was behind closed doors. We having this up in public, that kind of puts another dynamic in it. Great take, solid take, and applies to a lot of the stuff we're seeing here today. Aria Lee says, I love debates where both sides listen to each other and don't scream and yell. They had good discussion. Well, it wasn't great discussion, but they had civil discussion leading up to that. But you could see that there was that tension in there. But yeah, I don't really need the yelling and all that. But if it comes to that, then it is what it is. I mean, sometimes the debates go sideways. And that's not what I want. That's not really what I'm in this for. But if you're going on to talk with somebody, things could go sideways. It could go south. And you've got to be ready for that. So I will give Larry Elder credit. Larry Elder went into that show to talk to them knowing it was hostile. Remember, he went to the Breakfast Club as well. They don't do that the other way. When do they do? I mean, it's very rare. Even though I had problems with the Brianna Wu, shout out to her. She went and talked to Tim. Regardless of the cringe moments, the evil moments coming out of her.
No, Jay Johnson.
Where she, kind of endorses people getting sent to jail and she doesn't even know what's going on with the case. but she went on and had the conversation. This is that nigga moment that I think that was on the mind of the ringer, because they know Larry Elder's very bright, very smart. He can turn stuff on them in a second, and they didn't want to get turned on like this.
Testified under oath, not a single one was changed. That's the damage that people like Hillary and former President Jimmy Carter and Stacey Abrams and Hakeem Jeffries and others have said for years, referring to Donald Trump as illegitimate.
The other thing is, this is a little bit before the actual moment. So the other part is, I like the Tim Pool, Patrick Bet David, now that the pandemic is over, they do in person. That's the other part. So you're listening to that interview with the Higher Learning and Larry Elder. There's a delay. They got beef, so they're speaking over each other with a delay, and then his, the signals coming in and out, the internet or whatever. In person is much, much better, of course.
A greater percentage of Democrats believe 2016 was stolen than we feel that way about 2020, but yet nobody calls them election deniers, and nobody accuses them of undermining our republic. And they're not undermining our republic. They're complaining about an election. You have a right to do so.
I know you probably got to go. Have you ever heard of the term nigga wake up call?
No.
It is an incident where a person of color forgets that they are of color and are reminded rather brutally by an unexpected act of racism. Have you ever had any of those?
Oh, brother.
I'm just asking. You think you've ever
Well,
had
I'm acutely aware, Charlemagne, that I'm a black person, just as you are a black person.
So this is like a father talking to their son. You want to know why I say fathers matter? That's not obviously the case here, but that's the dynamic. The dynamic is Larry Elder talking to Charlemagne the God like it's a father talking to his son.
And when Joe Biden insulted you by saying, you ain't really black, we don't know whether or not you want to vote for me or vote for Donald Trump, it seems to me that should have been a wake-up call on your part. How dare this guy come in here and insult you, a black man, and tell you got to think a certain kind of way? I'm amazed that you weren't mad about that.
I'm not gonna say it upset me, just like I'm not letting you upset me. You know what I mean? I don't tend to get upset over things like that. But what I did say,
well, you just not talk about a nigga wake-up call, and it seemed to me that should have been a wake-up call on your part.
It's like, you just talked about a nigga wake-up call. It seemed to me like, nigga, you should have woke up. That's pretty much what that summed up to. I love that clip. That's what they were worried about. Larry Elder is not that one. That's why they kept him off the first debate. I don't know. I don't think he qualified. Obviously, he wasn't on the stage on the second one. We screened it live. But I think he didn't meet the qualifications. The first one, he met the qualifications. They didn't want that nigga on the stage. They didn't want any part of that because of that. He could have easily, the only other person that could have done like what Vivek did in the first two debates is that dude right there. The person who's the happiest that he didn't get on the stage is Vivek Ramaswamy, because when Larry talks, he got stats in his head. He's prepared. He's way better than Tim Scott and Nikki Haley and Mike Pence and Caterpillars, and we call him affectionately Doug Burgum Caterpillars because of his eyebrows. He's better than all of them. So when you get on you don't want him. The RNC was like, whatever you do, don't let him on the stage. He's too good. He's gonna throw everything off kilter, and they made that happen. I searched this thing because I didn't know what podcast it was, the Higher Learning, and I searched it. This is what I got when I searched it. This just hour or so ago or whenever. Yeah, I searched Larry Elder Fatherlessness Podcast. Google says it looks like the results below are changing quickly. If this topic is new, it can sometimes take time for reliable sources to publish information. Check the source. Are they trusted on this topic? Come back later. I said it's the DPP in action, the Democratic Party plantation, owners trying to shape the narrative in real time. That's what they're doing with I thought they got rid of that thing. They still have, the results are changing quickly. Don't look behind the curtain. They still doing that stuff. That's crazy. Here's the clip that Ray was talking about with this black congresswoman. Let me see in the chat. Did anybody put in the chat who it was? No sports fans? Gosh, I can't believe I remember his name. Yeah, Vivek was dope on the Breakfast Club. Again, you've got people on that non-bootlicking establishment, pro-authoritarian left that always want to debate. We want to exchange ideas, but you don't see that on the other side. You don't see Charlemagne the God go on with whoever, Rogan or Crowder or whoever else. But you'll see those types go on with his show. Brendan Dilley retweeted this. Who elected this retard is what he tweeted. I got no problem with it. You're a typical black Democrat woman. That's all we're going to see here.
But when we start talking about things that look like evidence, they want to act like they blind. They don't know what this is. These are our national secrets. Looks like in the shitter to me. This looks like more evidence of our national secrets, say on a stage at Mar-a-Lago. When we're talking about somebody that's committed high crimes, it's at least indictments. Let's say 32 counts related to unauthorized retention of national security secrets, 7 counts related to obstructing the investigation, 3 false statements, 1 count of
You see how they do? All the charges they're based in just absolute corruption, no legitimacy to any of them, but they're there. So then now they can use them against Trump. This isn't even about Trump. This is about Biden and impeachment. But for some reason, we're talking about Trump.
Conspiracy to defraud the United States, falsifying business records, conspiracy to defraud the United States, 2 counts related to efforts to obstruct the vote certification proceedings, 1 count of conspiracy to violate civil rights, 23 counts related to forgery or false document statements, 8 counts related to soliciting, and I could go on because he's got 91 counts pending right now. But I will tell you what the president has been guilty of. He has unfortunately been guilty of loving his child unconditionally, and that is the only evidence that they have brought forward. And honestly, I hope and pray that my parents love me half as much as he loves his child. Until they find some evidence, we need to get back to the people's work, which means keeping this government open so that people don't go hungry in the streets of the United States. And I will yield.
Oh, thank God. we need right now, we need black women to just stay out of this conversation. They are so cringe. So a black man, Larry Elder, goes on the podcast and he says, you know what, there's a fatherless problem in the black community, and it's like something that I think we should address. They go ham, they go nuts on him, on Larry Elder. Like, no, there can't be one. That's a racist trope, regardless of what we see in Philly and just everywhere in the country. And not even black, just in general. They go ham on Larry Elder. Joe Biden is just blatantly laundering money through his crackhead son. It's an open racketeering scheme for the whole family. It's right there out in the open. And this black woman, like Joy Reid on that live a while ago, when Byron Donalds was going to go at Nancy Pelosi, she took that bullet. She dove in front of it like, no. And here you go. Black woman. You see it with no sound on. If you're watching this on YouTube right now, got the neck snapping and everything. Got all the, you got the accent of a drag queen. That side, you could say the most banana thing ever. The dumbest thing you've ever heard in your life from a grown ass woman. As long as you have that drag queen accent, as long as you sound like, what was it, Shanae? Somebody had tweeted me on Twitter, like she sounded like Shanae, Jamie Foxx from In Living Color, I believe it was. I believe that's where Shanae was. As long as you sound like that with the accent and you got the fingers snapping and then you get the neck popping, you could say anything and everybody's like, yes, queen, yes, queen. This is the dumbest group of political people on the planet. And they get used too. They get used and abused. They're so stupid that what happens is the Democrat hierarchy, like Nancy Pelosi and them, they use these people like Maxwell Frost, like this Gen Z or whatever, person of color. I don't know what his background is, but he's person of color, I think is how they view him. They use them to put forth and do because you can't have Katie Porter neck snapping like that. So you got the black woman, she got her hair, her nails did. She got the subject verb disagreement. She got everything going. Look at this. Who's that next? I don't even know who that is next to her. Look at that. There it is. She got the pictures up there. None of it makes any, what's she saying? There's no substance here. None of it makes any damn sense, but it doesn't matter. There she is. There she is. And she got her moment. She got her moment. Now she's on the radar. Ms. Crockett, you are now on the radar for the Dems.
guilty of. He has unfortunately been guilty of loving his child unconditionally.
So Joe Biden, the one who called black kids hanging off his blonde hairy legs roaches, this dude right here, she's fighting for him. She'll put her life on the line for that
The
dude.
president has been guilty of. He has unfortunately been guilty of loving his child unconditionally, and that is the only evidence that they have brought forward. And honestly,
Loving his
I
child.
hope and pray that my parents love me.
Yeah, I love my child too. If he was a crackhead who gave me, no, I'm just joking. But you could see if you're evil, how you could love your child if he was a crackhead that gave you half his salary that he laundered from somebody else. You'd be like, yeah, that's a good. He's the smartest guy I know. You probably do some weird photo shots in black and white, hugging and kissing him up too, because he's the one that got you your millions. You always wanted to be in the club, Joe, and I hope it was worth it. Now you got these black women Democrats that want to have your back.
Because he's got 91 counts pending right now.
Oh,
but
Trump
I will
does,
tell
okay.
you what the president has been guilty of. He has unfortunately been guilty of loving his child unconditionally, and that is the only evidence that they have brought forward. And honestly, I hope and pray that my parents love me half as much as he loves his child. Until they find some evidence, we need to get back to the people's work, which means keeping this government open so that people don't go hungry in the streets of the United States. And
I will agree. He loves his son, maybe a little too much. That don't even look right. The classic picture of Biden, I don't know what he's doing. It could have just been a bad moment. Could have been no big deal, but he does. I'll just say he does love his son. I'll tell you that much. He loves what his son can do for him. And Tim Pool goes way further than I do. Tim Pool says there's allegations. Tim Pool's like allegedly something. I think something might have been happening there that should have been happening. This is the person that this Congresswoman Crockett is defending with her life, I think. Look, with the fire and brimstone, she defending this dude with his life, basically. Does it bother you if someone refers to a black male as a boy, Congresswoman? I'll be clear about my stance. You could call me boy, you could call me N, you could call it with a hard ER. I'm a grown-ass man. I do not care. As long as you don't violate my rights, I couldn't care less. Call me boy, I'll give you the connotation. Any information is good information. But I'm just going to ask you, since you're the black Iman, you're the one that's worried about black this, black that, and you are on your knees for Joe Biden. Do you have any problems with this?
And two of the great artists of our time representing the groundbreaking legacy of hip-hop in America, LL Cool J. By the way, that man's got biceps bigger than my thighs. I think he's...
Oh, okay. So you realize you caught yourself. That boy, that man has big biceps. No, this is the Dixiecrats right here. This is the old school Democrat Party. When they were blatant about it, now they wrapped it up in the DEI. They still think you're a black idiot. Nothing has changed there. They think you're even more stupid now because now you're fighting for them. This is back in the old school days when they like, you boy. Let it out, Joe. Let it out.
That man's got biceps bigger. That man's got biceps bigger than my thighs. I think he's... And MC Light, both of you, thank you. Because they're...
LL Cool J is a 55-year-old man. How does that happen? It's not like Joe was like, oh, that's my boy. Like, that's how the slang came. Like, oh, that's my boy Ray. That's my boy Hike Martin. That's my boy, now known as Boring Life. That's my boy. That's my girl. That's my boy. That's the slang. No. He was like, that boy.
Jay.
After he always has to play off these gaffes. He's like, LJJ, Cool J, and then they laugh to kind of cover for him because he's like represents their master.
In America, LLJ Cool.
You can't read off the cue cards or the prompter. It says LL Cool J. He can't read that?
LLJ Cool J.
LLJ. I actually never been a big LL fan, to be honest with you, but his old stuff was dope. Like Mama Said Knock You Out is one of my favorite hip hop songs. So he's got some songs that I like. No diss to him. He's a legend. I just was never really a huge LL fan like that. But I still respect him. But, you know, legendary hip hop artist LLJ.
LLJ Cool J. By the way, that man's got bicycles.
Oh, so you did know what you were doing then, huh? So why did you go from boy to man real quick? Because you caught yourself. You went back in time.
That man's got biceps bigger than my thighs.
Has he ever called a white person a boy? Or maybe I'm asking honestly. I've never heard it. Maybe it is, because that would show that he just says boy. He doesn't say boy. He used to hang out with literally with ex-KKK members, literally.
By the way,
eulogizing them and everything. Used to be his mentors and everything.
Jay,
This is the woman that Black Iman is like, all he does is love his son.
Jay, by the way, that man's got biceps bigger than my thighs. I think he's.
So everybody heard the boy, so they're gonna laugh it off, oh.
And MC Light, both of you, thank you. Because they both have the light off on the mic, you know, you're all here to listen to the new edition. Mike Bivens, 40 years producing music.
Just second time, it's not the first time. Let's unpack it a little bit. Here's the first time. I do have a video on the channel covering this. And this is Cedric Richmond. And he's like, here's a boy, another boy.
Good afternoon, everybody. We're waiting for a few more people to get on, but we're going to get started, if that's okay with you all. And thanks for joining me. I'm here. The FEMA director is on. FEMA Director Chris Wells, she's on. And I'm here with my senior advisor and boy who knows Louisiana very, very well, man, and New Orleans, and Cedric Richmond. Good afternoon, everybody.
So he put on his little southern twang here. He's like, y'all.
We're waiting for a few more people to get on, but we're going to get started, if that's okay with you all.
If that's okay with y'all. This dude is so funny, man. This dude is so phony and savage, too.
And thanks for joining me. I'm here. The FEMA director is on.
So remember, this is after Ida. So he's doing a FEMA briefing on Hurricane Ida. And he's coming on, and it's all of this is context that matters. So this was about a year ago or whatever. So he's like, he comes on with the kind of the fake y'all and boy. And why is he doing that? This is Hurricane Ida. Hurricane Ida, I believe, hit in the South. Hurricane Ida hit in Louisiana, I believe. I got to double check that. I thought it hit in the South. Let me double check that real quick. In the 6 months since Hurricane Ida struck Louisiana. So he's playing that role. Remember, anything that's happened to you has happened to him, but worse. So he went down to Hawaii. He was like, oh, this happened to me. My toaster blew up or something like that. Here's always something. Oh, you're a trucker? I used to be a trucker. Oh, you're marching for justice? I used to march for justice. Everything that you did, he used to do. That's just his style. He'll just lie about it. Why wouldn't he? He's grown up lying. He's been a liar. 50 years in Congress, lied his way into Congress, lied his way into the Senate, lied his way the whole time. No repercussions, actually became rewarded for it as president. So he comes into this event, FEMA event on Ida, and it's Louisiana. And like, I'm a Louisianan too. That's the vibe I'm getting.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Why is he talking like this?
We're waiting for a few more people to get on, but we're going to get started, if that's okay with you all.
They don't even sound like him. If that's okay with y'all, he sounded like Hillary Clinton when she tried to put on her black accent.
And thanks for joining me. I'm here. The FEMA director is on. FEMA Director Chris Wells, she's on. And I'm here with with my senior advisor and boy who knows Louisiana very, very well, man, and New Orleans, and Cedric Richmond. Good afternoon, everybody. We're waiting for a few more people to get on, but we're going to get started.
So that is what people sometimes refer to as code switching. I don't think that's code switching. I think that's just dishonesty.
Idea of make America great again. There was times of economic opportunity. Wages rose until the 1970s.
I'm proud to be a bartender. Ain't nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with working retail, folding clothes for other people to buy. There is nothing wrong with preparing the food that your neighbors will eat.
When Donald Trump tapped into this idea
That's
of
how
make
she really
America
sounds.
great again.
So that's how she really sounds, AOC. And this is how she sounds when she's in front of black people.
Be a bartender. Ain't nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with working retail, folding clothes for other people to buy. There is nothing wrong with preparing the food.
These are just bad people. There's no other explanation for it. This isn't code switching. I don't want to hear anything about code switching. This isn't code switching. This is just bad people. These are just disingenuous actors that are playing a role, and their role is to just absolutely annihilate you. So they'll transform into a weasel. They'll transform into a lizard. They'll do whatever it takes. Joe Biden will transfer into the South. So the problem with Joe Biden is when he transformed into the Southern accent, the problem with him was he went back in time to the Southern vibe. So this is AOC, like you just heard before, and then Hillary Clinton, and infamously, had her own accent.
Preparing the food that your neighbors will eat. There is nothing wrong with driving the buses that take your family to work.
I don't feel no ways tired. I come too far from where I started from. Nobody told me that the road would be easy. I don't believe he brought me this far to leave me. And the chair of all the mayors in the country, Mayor Palmer from Trenton, New Jersey. I'm aware I may not be the youngest candidate in this race, but I have one big advantage. I've been coloring my hair for years.
And they feel like black people are so stupid that they can do that. And they're right. What do you want me to say? The numbers show that they're right.
What's something that you always carry with you?
Hot sauce.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
Are you getting information right now?
Hot sauce.
Hot sauce in my bag, swag?
Hot sauce.
Is it working?
Yes.
Now listen, I
yes.
just want you to know people are going to see this and say, okay, she's pandering to black people again.
Okay. Is it working?
What's something that you always carry with you?
So when you go back to the Joe Biden clip, and Cyan, yeah, I just decided to. I had too much on my mind. I appreciate you. $2 super chat from Cyan. I wasn't expecting another Osiris cast. Yep, it came through. And I actually started early too. So yeah, you go back to Joe Biden, and you're like, oh, okay. So he wasn't code switching. He was playing up that Southern twang, and the boy came out.
Good afternoon, everybody. We're waiting for a few more people to get on, but we're going to get started, if that's okay with you all. And thanks for joining me. I'm here. The FEMA director is on. FEMA director Chris Wells, she's on. And I'm here with my senior advisor and boy who knows Louisiana very, very well.
Boy, yeah, he's 50 years old. He's 50 years old. LL is 55 with biceps bigger than your thighs, and he's a boy. And Cedric Richmond there is a boy. You have a propensity to call 50-year-old black men boys, is what it looks like to me. The term boy, when directed at black men, carries historical weight. It was often used to demean and belittle, stripping them of their agency and adulthood. this context could legitimately make Biden's remarks troubling. And I worded it like that because what do I care what Joe Biden thinks and says? I just think it's funny that y'all are worried about black this, black that, and don't have a problem with it. Black people, like I said, sometimes use the term black as a term of endearment, but that's slang, and that's a double standard. I would not recommend you call 50-year-old grown-ass black man boys. It's just probably not a good thing to do.
I know there was this movement where people, because we all got European American names. Because back then, when they took slaves from Africa, they couldn't pronounce their real names. So they're like, we're not messing with that. You're gonna be the Gilmore family now. You're gonna be the Smith family now. Because you're the Mr. Smith, and they would disrespectfully call you boy. That's why you don't call people boy. Let me just give you a quick hot tip. What happened is in slavery, they would call me like, hey, you're Mr. Smith's boy. Come here. I know there was this movement where people, because we all got European American names. Because back then, when they took slaves from Africa, they couldn't pronounce their real names. So they're like, we're not messing with that. You're gonna be the Gilmore family.
Nah, Ray, I can't do a Southern accent, Ray. $2 super chat. Thank you, Ray. I have no ability to do accents. My parents are Jamaican. People want me to do Jamaican accents. I cannot do them. I do not do them. So, it might come out accidentally when I'm trying to make fun of Biden or something like that, but I can't do it consistently. But yeah, that's the double-edged sword. Thank you, of course, Ray, for the super chat. So it's a complex issue, is what I'm saying here. Joe Biden's political career was shaped in part by his relationship with Dixiecrats, politicians who were not shy about using racially insensitive language. Could this past association be influencing his casual use of the term boy? That's what they would say. I want to clarify, I'm not personally affected by what names people call me. That's the disclaimer, basically. It's more to challenge people in power. It's ironic that some Democratic Party supporters can find racism in the most innocuous of things, like choosing vanilla ice cream over chocolate, yet remain silent when Biden uses a term loaded with historical racial undertones. Everything's a dog whistle. Everything's a microaggression. Why isn't that a microaggression? Perhaps the term boy is fitting, though. Almost like that, remember I said the term, the hard ER? That might be fitting for some of y'all. Some of y'all the hard ER might be right. As this selective outrage suggests that some have never truly left the metaphorical plantation. So my dude on the higher learning channel, I'm not going to call you boy, but if Joe Biden called you boy, I wouldn't say he was wrong. Thanks, Ray. Going on. Moving along, I had a lot of stuff to get off my chest today, and that's why I went live. But Anthony Blinken, I don't know if you saw that. Anthony Blinken had a moment, and let's listen in. This is Anthony Blinken, everybody. I want to get your thoughts on this. Let's vibe out. Let's rock out with Anthony Blinken.
From the great muddy waters, and if this doesn't clear the house, I don't know what. Woman told my mother before I was born, gonna be a man-child coming, gonna be son of a gun, gonna make pretty women's jump and shout, and the world will know what it's all about. You know I'm here. Everybody knows I'm here. Come on in.
So there you go. That's Anthony Blinken, of course, Secretary of State, U.S. Secretary of State, playing the guitar, singing Hoochie Coochie Man. Just dope song, and he's doing well, I think. Muddy Waters. I would have never guessed he had that in him. He describes himself as a very amateur guitarist. I think he's an amateur diplomat as well. Before starting his performance, he remarked, "If this doesn't clear the house, I don't know what will." Blinken is doing this thing. It's called Global Music Diplomacy Initiative. Blinken's performance was a part of the event to launch the U.S. State Department's new Global Music Diplomacy Initiative. That's what you're doing, Tony? He's jamming. Mike Cernovich, who is either A or an F, got an F on this one. Mike Cernovich tweeted, he says, "You guys can be mad, I don't care. This is talented and cool. So many of you don't have any inner lives or outside interests, and any display of something beyond goober, boomer, edprop, slop triggers you. Get a hobby, touch grass, eat mushrooms at Joshua Tree." Mike, this is very common from a lot of the people who say this touch grass, they are the ones that probably need to touch grass. And Mike, nobody said he was, I didn't even see anybody say he was whack. The take is he's out of touch. I don't know about y'all. Are you in the mood to hear Hoochie Coochie Man by Tony Blinken right now? With your tax dollars going to Ukraine? What kind of mood are you in? I know for me, I'm not in that mood. It's like if you want to have sex or something like that, you got to find the right timing. Sometimes somebody might not be in the mood for it. You haven't set the scene, Blinken. The CCP they weren't in the mood for Hoochie Coochie Man right after Biden came in office, they embarrassed you to your face.
We'll also discuss our deep concerns with actions by China, including in Xinjiang, Hong Kong,
where's the Hoochie
Taiwan,
Coochie Man now?
Cyber attacks on the United States, economic coercion toward our allies. Each of these actions threaten the rules-based order that maintains global stability.
Well, you can't blame this problem on somebody else.
I have to tell you, what I'm hearing is very different from what you described. I'm hearing deep satisfaction that the United States is back, that we're re-engaged with our allies and partners. I'm also hearing deep concern about some of the actions your government is taking.
我们把你们想得太好了，我们认为你们会遵守基本的外交礼节。
Well, I think we thought too well of the United States. We thought that the U.S. side will follow the necessary diplomatic protocols.
所以我们刚才必须阐明我们的立场。
So for China, it was necessary that we make our position clear.
我现在讲一句，你们没有资格在中国的面前说你们从实力的地位出发同中国谈话。
So let me say here that in front of the Chinese side, the United States does not have the qualification to say that it wants to speak to China from a position of strength.
So that clip there, it might be hard to kind of follow. It's basically Anthony Blinken getting undressed verbally by a CCP diplomat. And that was early, and I've played that multiple times. It's just one of those iconic moments. Very rarely do you see them do that out in the open. They were talking about Black Lives Matter and all this other wild stuff that you could tell they obviously weren't ready for. Because when it's in public like that, usually they're supposed to know like what the beef is, if there's any beef. So I'm not in the mood to hear him play the guitar. That's the problem, Mike Cernovich. I don't know what type of straw man argument you were going to. I don't know if I would say he was cool playing the song. I think it was cool. I thought it was good to watch. I don't have anything against the song or him playing the guitar. That's great. Don't straw man the argument. That's not the argument, Mike. He's just like Scott Adams, man. They're either on or man, are they off? When they are off, and Scott Adams has been based ever since he came out with the We should stay away from each other. I forgot even the exact quote. It's been so long. He's been based. I haven't even heard him off on a take since then, probably because the pandemic's gone too. He was really bad on that. But that argument and discussions coming down to the wire looks like, from what I'm hearing, there is going to be a shutdown. Rand Paul, headline from The Hill: withdraw Ukraine money if you want to avoid shutdown. I think that is I think that is a great message. And my takeaway from this is MAGA, make it simple. There's a lot that you want. Immigration. I'm going to show you some long lines from immigration. I looked at it, I'm like, this can't be real. So this stuff might be old. I don't know. I don't have any dates on it. So that's the part of this where you just don't know. But we know that there's an immigration problem. That's without question. But there's a video here. So what I'm saying is MAGA wants a lot of stuff done. So this is leverage to shut down the government, to take care of a lot of things. I'm showing on the screen here. I mean, it's just a sea of niggas. It's just, I mean, just going. It looks like a Kanye concert or something. I mean, it's just, I mean, it looks like it looks like a concert. There's people walking up a hill, allegedly trying to get to this country, and there's so many people I don't even know how to count it. It's tens of thousands is what it looks like to me. I don't know what the numbers. I mean, it's thousands of people walking through and on the way to this country. So I know there's a lot that MAGA will want, but I think there's one thing to hang the hat on. And I've changed on this. I would like it to be something else, but this is the one that you have a no argument on. When you get into the shutdown, it is all a game of PR. It's who's going to be blamed for the ramifications of the shutdown. That's all that matters. So if MAGA can shut down the government and say, it's real simple, we'll let you do the same type of garbage spending you've been doing. We know we can't get everything. We want to compromise. We trust the American people. We don't want to be unreasonable. We have one demand. It's not an ask. It's a demand. Zero money to Ukraine. Zero weapons. No humanitarian aid. No military aid. None of it. It stops now. If they agree to that, government pops up and running within 5 minutes. That's it. So you make that one issue the highlight. There's a million things you can go off of. It's just too much. You can't go off of everything. You can't. There's people have to go to work. They got kids to feed. They got jobs to go to. They got chores to do on the house and all kinds of stuff. Our bathroom shower head thing. The dial to turn it. I don't even know how to describe these things. The turn valve broke off of the shower, and we got to go fix that. And nobody got time to worry about all this stuff. Don't nobody care. So what you have to do is make it simple. So if somebody asks, there's a one sentence answer. There's a really quick, easy answer. If you talk to your normie friends and they say, why are those MAGA idiots? I hear they're called maggots. Why are they trying to shut down the government? There's many reasons. We know that. You and I know that. Even if you're not MAGA, we've got a lot of libertarians, friendly people here in the chat. You know what the argument is. It can't be this. DC Drano, I agree with everything here. He says, why do you MAGA Republicans want the government to shut down? Because our government has been weaponized against 75 million Americans. They've raided the President Trump's house, indicted him, arrested him 4 times. They imprisoned peaceful J6 protesters. And I don't care, clear on the J6, I don't care if they're violent or not. They were set up by the government. To me, it's all poisonous. Everybody pardon. I'm not parsing violent or not violent from J6. You shouldn't have set people up if you didn't want that to happen. Pardon all of them. And no need to investigate, all of them pardoned. If they do other bad crimes, obviously that's a whole separate thing from J6. They censor our speech. They overtax us and send it overseas. Their spending is causing record inflation. They target soccer moms as domestic. All of this is true. Domestic terrorists. They will kill our veterans in FBI raids. I'm not as shaky. I'm a little shaky on that one, but still, I understand the concern. They flood because they'll raid certain people and won't raid others. They flood our country with illegals. They rig our elections. They force experimental injections into our bodies. They are the single greatest threat to our liberties, and it's not even close. The real question is, why would you want this government to stay open? We know that's the answer, but I just want to make it simple because they want to send money to Ukraine. That's it. You don't need to rattle off 20 different things that kind of will shock a newbie. Why are those maggots shutting down the government? They don't even know who they are. It's really Matt Gaetz is taking the face of it. Much respect to him. Why are they shutting down the government? We just want to stop the money to Ukraine. That's it. There's no need for us to be involved in that war. If you stop the money, that forces Ukraine to negotiate it in Europe. Why don't we take care of our homeland? That's it. It's simple. And you can articulate it. So when Morning Joe and they do their toxic, they want this, they want that, they're unreasonable, it doesn't work. Say zero money to Ukraine, period. You would have to set a date. I don't know. Set it to 2030. It's the Great Reset. Do 2030. I don't know what date you do. No money to Ukraine. And it's done. And it's over. I think that's a clean break. I think it's a clearer message. And that's what you need right now. You need clear, concise messages. You need a message to say, American people, even you Democrat wokists, I have no beef with you. I trust you. I hope you understand where we're coming from on this. It's just that simple. We're done with the Ukraine money. That's over. That's not even a question. That's a demand. But you do that, we'll fund. Why? Because we just want to make it simple. We want more, but we're not going to be unreasonable. There's only 5 of us. Simple message, simple to understand, stays in your memory. You know, you're not kind of like, oh, what was that again? You remember it. It's clear cut, and I love it. This story happened last night, and I would have gone live on it to talk about it, and I probably would have looked like a fool because I thought it was a bigger story than it was when I first saw it. Here's the breaking news, and I love George is great. I'm not dissing George. He's on Rumble. Dude is amazing. One of the best on Arizona coverage. I haven't listened to his live in a while, but he's just great. So no diss to him. Breaking as of right now, Katie Hobbs is not the governor of Arizona. Republican Kimberly Yee, Breakfast Club, Kimberly Yee, the state treasurer, is currently the acting governor. The reason is unknown. So at the time, too, this was unknown. Because what had happened was Kimberly Yee leaked this. Katie Hobbs, they didn't announce this. Katie Hobbs shouldn't even be governor. The 2022 election was clearly rigged against Carrie Lake, and I clearly agree. So Kimberly Yee, the treasurer, and it was just kind of like, well, how did it get down to the treasurer? And I was like, they don't have a lieutenant governor? No, Arizona doesn't have to my knowledge, they don't have a lieutenant governor like a vice president. Kimberly Lee says, I've been notified that I'll be serving as acting governor beginning later this evening until mid-morning tomorrow. While I'm pleased to step into this role, I will refrain from naming directors to 13 agencies that currently have vacancies and will not call the Arizona legislator into session to confirm them. That was like a sassy kind of diss. They're having problems because you've got Katie Hobbs and the Republican legislator. They're not going to affirm her picks, just like what they did with Donald Trump. So she leaked it. It wasn't like Katie Hobbs announcing it. And I was like, whoa, I would have went live on this. I was like, I was being serious. I would have drank a pot of coffee and went live because I'm really into the Arizona stuff and went live immediately if I had known about this. What the F? I'm just seeing this for the first time. And I want to give a thank you to this user here, Esquire, so KESQ123 on Twitter, said mostly because she, Mays, and Fontes were out of town. So the Secretary of State and who's Mays again? Shoot, I forget. But the secession from Katie Hobbs, who would take over, were out of town. It was for 6 hours. She's back now. And I'm like, what? That doesn't make any sense. But no, this person is legit. But so I'll get there. I was like, Newsom and DeSantis are never in Cali. Seems weird, no? And I wasn't making any determination. I'm just like, I'm live reacting to this. Like, this has got to be unusual. What? What's going on? You name somebody else? And so this person said, no, Hobbs is always there. The overlap of their absences was 6 hours. And I'm like, a governor is going to be out of town for 6 hours and steps down? I didn't mean literally step down, hand over the reins to somebody else. You don't find that odd at all? You can't be serious. This Twitter person said, no, the overlap of governor, the AG, and Secretary of State are all being out with 6 hours. Hobbs was gone overnight. And I was like, what is going on? And then they said she didn't step down. She has to, pursuant to Arizona law, name an acting governor when she's out of state. And here she said a clip that said, in the event of the impeachment of governor, the governor's absence from the state or other temporary disability to discharge the duties of the office, the powers and duties of the office of governor shall devolve on the same person as in case of vacancy, but only until the disability ceases. The part of this says the governor's absence from the state. That's very generic. So it basically means if you're absent from the state, it means for a second. I mean, you probably wouldn't prosecute on it or impeach, but based on that verbiage, it means if Katie Hobbs is out of the state of Arizona for 1 second, she has to name a successor. And that's all it was. So I was like, so anytime a governor is out of state, you have to name an acting governor, or it's an unconstitutional act. Do I have your position correct? Because I couldn't believe it. And then they replied to me and said, with the Constitution, and said, basically, yeah. And I was like, is this historical? And I was like, every time a governor goes out, so I'm like, where was she? Did we get where they are? How long? Is it a minute out of the state? Is it a couple hours? And I was like, I'm looking for a historical precedent and I can't find it. And she made a good comment. She was like, yes, literally every time they have to do it, there just usually isn't a big deal about it. There isn't an announcement. And Hobbs didn't make the announcement. And I went back and looked. I was like, yeah, you're right. Everything on this story was from Yee, not from Hobbs. Hobbs did not make the announcement. It was a non-story. So I was like, gotcha, sounds legit. I stand corrected. Thank you. I appreciate that. That was a good looking out on Twitter. So that part of it was a non-story. And then I said, well, part of it could be considered a story, though. Katie Hobbs, where was she? She was in D.C. talking about immigration with, I don't know, I think DHS. What was she talking about? I don't know. And then the other ones, Mays and Fontes, were also in D.C. from what the article said, the AZ Central. Why were they all three in D.C.? I don't know. It happens sometimes. It's not that unusual. But when we're in this place in our country where states have seceded effectively, then any action looks like, maybe you've had a problem with cheating or something like that, and you see that person talking with a woman and it might not even be a big deal. It looks different because of the circumstances. And that's what I'm saying here, is this can look different because of the circumstances. But that was the story that, I'm kind of glad I didn't find out last night, because I would have went, I don't know, I don't usually get too over my skis, but I would have thought that it was a bigger story than it really was. Yeah, but so each state, I think, has different laws on it. So that looked legit. When I looked it up, it looked legit. I fully believe that that's what that was. It wasn't Hobbs making an announcement. It was Kimberly Yee who was doing it. And that was, all the response and everything made a lot of sense. So that was the story there. That was like a crisis averted would be me having to do a mea culpa. But, if you have to do a mea culpa, that's not the end of the world, because if you're not having to do that, if you're doing streams and you're not having to correct yourself or apologize, then you probably aren't doing enough. You're probably not taking it to the edge enough. Speaking of the edge, I want to go to Oakland and San Francisco. Never been to Oakland, I've been to San Francisco. Why do I want to go to Oakland and San Francisco? Because I think it'd be like a safari. It'd be like a safari ride. And you could be lucky. If you go out to Oakland and San Francisco, you might.
God, he broke in. Bruh, if I had a fucking weapon right now, that's fucking, man, this motherfucking dumbass car. That's.
So what we're looking
Look
at.
it.
What we're looking at is what is referred to as a smash and grab.
Bruh, if I had a fucking weapon right now, that's fucking, man, this motherfucking dumbass car. That's crazy. That's fucking crazy. That's fucking wild. Oh, perfect. And what the fuck? AURC942.
It's probably stolen plates. Don't worry about it. And you know, nowadays, maybe they don't even care. Why steal the plates?
Oh my God.
Ain't nothing happening. What is there a law in California where you can smash and grab as long as you don't take more than $1,000 worth of items? I mean, that's basically what it is in the stores.
Damn.
There is nothing. I gotta sample it. There is nothing more dystopian than that TikTok. Did my thing drop? Hold on, 1, 2. There's nothing more dystopian than that TikTok sound effect.
Yeah.
I think I'm stepping on my cord. I gotta change up my cord setup. I'm messing up my mic. There's nothing more dystopian than this TikTok at the end. We're watching the collapse of society, of American society right before our very eyes, and TikTok at the end. Believe it? I said, I want to go to these states. I want to understand. I want to understand smash and grabs. Does anybody know what tone of voice I'm trying to mimic? I want to understand smash and grabs. And I'm black. And I'm white. I want to understand. I want to go to Oakland and San Francisco. I want to understand flash mobs. I want to go to Oakland and San Francisco. I want to understand Fenty zombie apocalypse. I want to understand these things.
I want to understand white rage. And I'm white.
I want to understand white rage.
I want to understand white rage. And I'm white. I want to understand white rage. And I'm white. I want to understand white rage. And I'm white. I want to understand
the Millie.
Rage, and I'm white. I want to understand white rage.
General Mark Milley.
I want to understand.
This would be the hook on his song.
And I'm white.
That would be the hook. I want to understand white rage. I want to go to visit Oakland and San Francisco. It'd be like going to a safari tour. You know, you'd be in the Jeep and you drive around the city. Instead of seeing lions, though, you'd be looking like all those smash and grabs I see on X. Maybe I'll see one in real life.
He broke, oh my God.
Maybe they'll smash and grab me. Maybe I'll see a flash mob. I've seen all these flash mobs. Like in Philly, they had the flash mob riots, and then flash mob stealing stuff in San Francisco. We've seen them in Nordstrom's, and they're doing all kinds of stuff. It's not flash mob of dancing, it's flash mob of robbing. And if I go on a safari tour, that's how they can get tourism back up. They can get tourism back up in San Francisco by saying, hey, when the flash mob comes, you might be in a Jeep to roll on by. You might see one in first person, one of those flash mobs.
9 men, all caught on camera. They walked out with bags of merchandise, and here's the video. Police say it happened yesterday just after 12:30 in the afternoon. This is at the Macy's at Westfield Fashion Square, which is just off of the 101 freeway. The smash and grab flash mob robbery involved men in their early 20s, all wearing masks to cover their
I'm sure their
faces.
fathers
They went
were great in their lives growing up.
Merchandise into bags and walked out. They fled in 2 cars. a silver or gold Honda, and a black Ford Fusion. Now, this is the latest in a disturbing
And that's regardless
trend
of
across
race.
the LA area and comes a week after an organized retail crime task force was formed. The new group includes a number of law enforcement agencies, including the LAPD,
It's like 20 niggas
LA
up in
County
the
Sheriff's
store.
Department, the Highway Patrol, and other local departments. As of Wednesday, the task force said it's made 11 robbery arrests related to 4
I'm sure they
cases.
have.
They're urging anybody who knows information about any organized retail crimes to call police or Crime Stoppers.
Wouldn't that be kind of cool? Like you kind of take a trip to San Francisco and maybe you have like some guards with you, some armed guards, and you're just going around to Nordstrom's, or do they have Dillard's out there, or Lululemon or Foot Locker? Maybe a black person will do something crazy and die at the hands of a white cop, and then you might be right in the middle, and then it's almost like you're in Jurassic Park in that bubble, like that bubble car. That was like Jurassic Park. What was it? One of the late Jurassic Park World or whatever. And you can kind of go through and see the natives doing what they do, like a flash mob, all black, wearing these stupid masks and stuff like that. And then maybe you walk down the sidewalk and you see the Fenty zombies walking down. And you're like, damn, that's just like what it was on X. It's like cool. It's like almost like, man, I used to see this I saw this on TV, but I'm here in real life and I'm seeing them do it right in front of me and turn into zombies. I think it'd be kind of cool if you knew. Tell me if you knew you couldn't get hurt and you were in a bubble, or you were like Gavin Newsom, you're walking down the street with 2 guys in suits that are packing heat and nobody's going to mess with you. I'd like to see it in person. What do they call them? The favelas in like Brazil? They literally take tour buses down in the ghetto of Brazil just to see what it's like. Where they poop and then it comes sliding down the side of the house. I don't know if you heard that. Goes into the river. You just kind of look and see how people live. And I think that'd be an interesting thing to get tourism back, get businesses back up and popping. If a business knows that I'll get tourism if somebody comes through with a smash and grab and a flash mob, like businesses like, hey, come on through at noon, smash and grab time. Maybe you get some tourism, and maybe after the smash and grab's gone, the dumbass tourists will spend money for the same things that they ran up the store with for free and won't get prosecuted. I think we've solved the smash and grab problem. Embrace it. Embrace it. Make money off of it. Make it an industry. Televise it. I think they should televise it. Put it on TV. Like, just put a 24-hour camera in front of these stores and say, hey, if you want to come through, come through. Let's see who can do the best smash and grab. I had a debate on it was basically just within myself for the most part, but this is an interesting debate. I thought it was an interesting debate. I'm just going to keep going since it was kind of cool to start a little bit earlier so I don't feel like I'm as rushed to get to bed, but I'm going to be out in a little bit. But I had this article. This is a blog. Yeah. Going old school. I had a full blog, not a thread. I've been doing threads on Twitter only because when you put a link to an external website on X, they shadow it. But you can still do it. I mean, you still get hits on it. But if you do a thread, I just kind of want to do hey, if it's on X, like for advertising for this live, I didn't even put the link to YouTube or anymore. I just put the link to X. I like live on X. And so I've been doing threads more than articles, but I want to do both. But this article is about sin. Let me know what you think. Well, brace yourself if it's not fully proofread, but we'll see. It's a blog. It's casual. It's a blog. It's about sin. Let me know what you think about this. Are some sins graver than others in the Bible? That alone could probably spark a discussion from a lot of people on the channel. Some people get real passionate and knowledgeable about this. I'm not knowledgeable, just exploring it. Explore the Bible's nuanced perspective on sin from topics like unintentional sins, the heart's intentions, to the biblical stance on homosexuality. I did touch on that too. The Bible, a cornerstone of Christian faith, offers profound insights into the nature of sin. A pressing question arises. Do some sins carry more weight than others in the eyes of God? For many, sin might seem, and Carlos, I'll hit you up, Carlos. We're going to have to talk about this one. For many, I respect his knowledge on this, on anything, but this here in very particular. For many, sin might seem like a singular, unvarying concept. However, the Bible presents a more intricate picture. The Ten Commandments enshrined in Exodus 20 stand as foundational moral and religious principles. Violations of these commandments, such as murder or adultery, are often perceived as more grievous. As it's written, you shall not murder, Exodus 20:13, and you shall not commit adultery, Exodus 20:14. Furthermore, the Bible distinguishes between unintentional sins and deliberate ones. Numbers 15:27, verses 27 through 31, delineates this difference, emphasizing that unintentional sins can be atoned for, while willful sins bear sterner consequences. The scripture states, if just one person sins unintentionally, that person must bring a year-old female goat for a sin offering, believe it or not, in Numbers. In contrast, but anyone who sins defiantly blasphemes the Lord, and that person must be cut off from the community. Pretty harsh. The New Testament offers a transformative lens. Jesus Christ's teachings highlight the heart's intentions. In the Sermon on the Mount, he equated internal anger with murder and lustful thoughts with adultery, suggesting that internal disposition holds as much weight as the act itself. You have heard that it was said to the people long ago, you shall not murder, and anyone who murders will be subject to judgment. But I tell you that anyone who is angry with a brother or sister will be subject to judgment. So it's kind of equating the two. The concept of varying degrees of sin is further solidified in John chapter 5, verse 16, 17, where a distinction is made between sin that leads to death and sin that doesn't. Quote, if you see any brother or sister commit a sin that does not lead to death, you should pray and God will give them life. There is a sin that leads to death. So that's just half of it there. You can see the conversation. If you want to get to the rest of that article, that is on the middlemega.com blog. I got a couple articles up there. I haven't even touched on a lot of these topics. Some of these topics, I should say, not a lot, but some of the topics I've put into articles I haven't even touched on in a while. Or I haven't even read them on the show here. That's one. Going back to I got put up Ray, if you're still in the chat, I will put yours up. I got to get to it. Time is tough. There's this article here. I never read this one or got into it. I did cover the criminal ones here with Rathesberger and Brian Kemp. But these other ones are kind of interesting to touch on here. U.S. government's sneaky play with media funds. Diving into the National Science Foundation's $5 million grant, the government appears as a seductive woman, her allure masking a hidden reptilian nature. And then let me tell you, just give you at least a brief start on what this one is. In a world where integrity of journalism is paramount, the National Science Foundation's recent grant to the Institute for Data, Democracy, and Politics at George Washington University raises eyebrows. While the grant purports to support journalists facing online harassment, which is a concern by itself, the underlying implications are deeply concerning. The National Science Foundation, NSF, is an independent, in quotations, federal agency created by Congress in 1950. It was established with the primary goal of promoting the progress of science. Wait till you see what they're doing. It achieves this by advancing national health, prosperity, and welfare, as well as securing the national defense. With its commitment to funding research across various scientific disciplines, the NSF plays a pivotal role in fostering innovation and maintaining the United States' global leadership in scientific endeavors. Sounds nice. Recently, however, that same group made headlines by awarding a substantial $5 million grant to develop a system of care tailored for journalists. At first glance, this initiative appears to be a commendable endeavor designed to provide a combination of technical and social support to journalists who are grappling with the menace of online harassment. Such a move by the NSF seems to align with its broader mission. However, deeper examination reveals concerns, deep concerns. Why does a government agency feel the need to violate the First Amendment in the realm of journalism? What they're doing is saying, hey, we're doing this fund for journalists who have been harassed. What they're doing is putting their weight on the scale of journalism. That's no longer independence if the journalistic field depends on a grant from the government. The grant's purpose to develop a rapid response system for journalists seems more like a mechanism to control narratives than a genuine effort to support free speech, the very essence of journalism. So they basically are giving journalists a safe space funded by the government. The question and challenge, the very essence of journalism is to question and challenge and hold power to account of the same government that is trying to protect them from the evil, people asking questions? One of the more eyebrow-raising aspects of the grant is this collaboration with software developers. While the IDDP team at George Washington touts the benefits of technological solutions, so watch. So you say this person, Taylor Lorenz or somebody like that, it's harassed online. I make fun of her, laugh at her, tell her where she's wrong, have legitimate points. And all of a sudden, now Taylor Lorenz is like, this person is harassing me. Again, on that topic of stochastic terrorism, basically. They're doing a lot with that term of stochastic terrorism. That's all this is right here is what they're kind of affirming. So then they could say, well, now we need to track who's causing us to spend money to protect Taylor Lorenz. She's just the perfect example. That's the only reason I'm using her. And then they team up with big tech. Of course, it's for the good. It's to combat online harassment. So now we have to question the efficacy and potential biases of a platform. What is it going to be used for? Is it going to be used to spy? Very concerning. If you want to finish that article, that is also on the Middle MAGA blog. Shout out to Florida. Florida was able to complete this Bright Line train. This Bright Line train looks to be a good, mode of transportation, new mode of transportation in Florida. And I went with this here. Let me first show you some tweets on it. This came out September 23rd. And here's some video of this Bright Line. Anybody in Florida? I know we've had people in Florida. This is the Bright Line train. They're going by. I can tell you a little bit about it, where it goes, how much it cost. But it's it's objectively a good thing at this point, we haven't seen anything bad about it for Florida. Florida, a jewel in America's crown, boasts sun-drenched beaches, a thriving economy, diverse wildlife, and a myriad of cultural festivities under the steadfast leadership of Ron DeSantis. Let's not forget that. The state has, I'm not like Kerry Lake. I'm not going to be out here pretending like he has not been great for Florida. And Kerry Lake, I would say stop doing that. That's not you. You're not a liar. It's not a big lie. It's politics. It's a primary. But I would still recommend to not do that. The stance has exemplified consistent and effective governance from Ron DeSantis. Now, adding to its list of achievements is the successful launch of the Bright Line train. Yet amidst these accomplishments, a shadow has been cast by a travel advisory. This is before that. I didn't clarify that, but no need to. It's all true. Why this advisory for one of America's most prosperous and well-governed states? Let's dive into this. Brightline Orlando, an intercity rail service, officially commenced operations on September 22nd, 2023. at the Orlando International Airport, located in the airport's new Terminal C. 37,000 square foot station connects directly to the parking deck C. It features amenities like the Craft Cocktail Bar, Mary Mary Bar. The service offers 16 round trips between Miami and Orlando, covering the distance in just over 3 hours at speeds of 125 miles per hour. Ticket price, and I know, Carl, there's people we know, friends of the show, who are in Florida, so I can ask. Ticket prices start at $79 for the smart fare, $39 for kids, and $149 for the premium category. Let's look at this advisory. I don't know if I've talked about this on the channel. The NAACP issued a travel advisory before this train launched for Florida. Florida's largest LGBTQ civil rights group, Equality Florida, along with other organizations like the League of United Latin American Citizens and the Human Rights Campaign, have echoed similar sentiments to the NAACP. It's issuing a travel advisory. These entities are Democratic extensions of the Democratic Corporation, the Democratic Party Plantation, the DPP. They seem to be playing a larger game. The question arises, is this truly about safety or maneuvering in the intricate game of control? The advisory claims that Florida is openly hostile towards African Americans. These groups said that they're overly hostile towards African Americans, people of color, and LGBTQ individuals. Yet this narrative starkly contrasts with the state's track record of progress and innovation. The Brightline train, for instance, stands as a testament to Florida's commitment and advancement, especially when juxtaposed against California's billion-dollar rail fiasco. They didn't do any travel advisory in California, did they? When they had that issue. Let me make sure I'm not missing super chats. Ray says, it's said after Armageddon, Satan is thrown into the lake of fire. Jesus will create a new world without sin. We can live in harmony forever with God. Beautiful comment there. I was not kind of aware. I think I probably heard that before, but great comment there. Thank you, Ray, for the $5 super chat. Did I leave out any of your other ones? Southern accent. We Brothers in the Hood. $2 super chat by Ray Studios. We Brothers in the Hood know what this means. And I think that was it. So thank you, of course. Great friend of the show. So I'm going to be out here. What I'm going to do is leave out on this kind of, I thought this was a fun clip. This clip here is a bear. This is a bear. I'm going to show you a bear. It is just one of those random clips that you see online. And I'm like, this is a kind of a cool clip. It kind of goes with the topic. I like ending with a topic that kind of goes with the main theme, fatherlessness. I don't know if this is a fatherlessness situation, but this is a father scenario. You have to watch this video on YouTube Rumble to really get a gist of it. But there's a bear. They're at a park. And what we're watching is a woman with, it looks like a son. Can't tell. It looks like a boy. And they're very still. And they're sitting at a picnic table. And they got all their food on the picnic table. Looks like fast food. Got some yummy yummies there. It looks like they were going to eat well. But they got an unexpected visitor, which looks like a baby bear or a very small bear. It looks like a black bear. And there's different types of personalities with these bears. Grizzly, I think, is the worst. Black bear is the easiest, I guess. The bear is just eating their food. Their mannerisms remind me of dogs so much. The bear is eating their food on the picnic table. The mother is covering the head of the boy. The boy's eyes are closed. I think that's a little much. I don't know. I think they're a little. My first thought was, this is a father moment. There's definitely a father moment. Not that a woman can't handle it. I'm not saying. I'm just saying, even though a woman can handle it, it's still a father moment. And clearly for these people, this is a father moment. You have one person filming it. You got the mother covering the head of the boy, scared. The bear at one point is like, "Are you hungry too?" The bear is just licking the plate at this point. This is the point where the bear kind of stuck its face in them, like, "What are y'all doing? Y'all hungry? What's up? We all gonna eat or not?" The bear was 5 inches from her face, 4 inches from her face. At that point, we're gonna have to throw down. And I said, if this was In and Out, I'd let the bear have the food. Those nasty ass fries, those raw, undone fries, and that average burger. I would have been like, you can have the In and Out. If that was Five Guys, that bear would have been yoked out like Jordan Neely. I would have had that bear like Jordan Neely, like Daniel Penny did Jordan Neely. It would have been a wrap. Like, you're not gonna have these fries in this burger. That's for sure. I will defend those. I will defend Five Guys especially if I'm hungry. If I don't eat Five Guys a lot. We save it. Like, we might go once or twice a year. And when it's that Five Guys day, we like, oh man. And the thing I like about Five Guys is that their burgers don't get me sick. Like, I went to Wendy's the other day and I was like, every time I go to eat McDonald's, Wendy's, my stomach is just in knots. And I'm like, I'm never gonna do this again. For whatever reason, that Five Guys burger and fries don't have any problems. I don't feel good. I feel kind of weighted down, but I don't feel like terrible like Wendy's. I'm still recovering from that Wendy's. That was like Tuesday. If that was Five Guys or my favorite fried chicken from stir-fried chicken from a Chinese spot, I would have been like, whoop. At that bear, I would have been like, hup, hup. Had that bear like in a wrestling position, like tap out. Look at that little baby bear. It's a baby bear too. I don't care if it was a big bear. I'm not going to let the big bear have my Five Guys. That's for damn sure. That's why you need fathers in your lives to say, hey, if it's McDonald's, you can have that nasty ass. Everything is, I don't know why kids like McDonald's, or I used to be okay with Big Macs. Nah, I'm good. You can have the Big Mac. I'll share it with you. But if we're going to have something real, if we can have Bad Daddy's, I don't know if you have Bad Daddy's where you all are at. Those Bad Daddy's mushroom burgers, like, no. Oh, no. That's even better than the Five Guys. Oh, no. He wouldn't have got yoked out. I would have been like, don't do that again. That's your last time, baby bear. And Mama Bear is probably watching around the corner. I'll be like, Mama Bear, this is not the one. Go find someone else. Peter, you would have had me on the internet going viral for choking out a bear. Allegedly. Just joking, YouTube. Yoking out a bear. That would have been so funny. Five Guys would have used it as an ad. They would have been like, look at this dude. This dude yoked out a bear to defend the honor, not of his family, of those fries, those Cajun fries. That's what he yoked out that bear for. Oh, man, I'm going to be out, y'all. Y'all fooling. It's late. Getting loopy. This has been fun. It's been real fun. I'm just trying to find my outro song at this point. We'll try to do it again tomorrow night because it's the weekend. I feel good streaming on the weekend because I don't have to get up as early, even though I still get up at the same time. It's weird. The weekend just feels different. But tomorrow I got to go to work, so let's see if this will work. This aftermath. Oh, gosh, I don't have my Bluetooth. I might just have to go out. I like to go out with music. I'm not going out with Tony Blinken. That's for damn sure. I like this song. Dang, it actually comes through pretty loud. Hopefully everybody has a good night. Visit middlemaga.com. Visit the Discord. Discord popping off. I haven't even been able to keep up with all the chats in the Discord. The Discord been popping off so nice. I'll put the link to the Discord in the chat. You want to hit us up? Cyan. Boring Life. Formerly known as Hike Martin. Ray Studios. Everybody in there. Casual Goats. Real fun. I'm going to start doing something where I take topics out of the Discord, though, and just try to, give my take on it and then give your take in the Discord. This is the Discord right now. While I'm out, I'll just show little clips of it. This is the Discord right here. Cyan was posting in there. What we got going on in here? What are we posting about? Rasputin post this evening, the Sixth Circuit Court of Appeals reversed the district court's preliminary injunction in LW versus Skermeti. As a result, the Tennessee's law that protects children from irreversible gender-related medical intervention remains in effect. Okay. So yeah, got some great news updates curated for like kind of the people who like the show, and so it's even better than Twitter in a way, because it's like, what are people watching the show? What do y'all care about? Is what I care about too. I don't really use IG like that. About to drop some memes in the Discord. Taco in the Discord right now. Taco has been based. Appreciate that in the memes life area. Got memes. Taco drops a meme in there. Commemorative stamp honoring the only first lady to receive an annual prostate exam. Of course, it's Big Mike. Taco's in there. The meme section is where Casual Goats, when he's in there, hangs out on. But you got all the memes in here. Some good stuff. Ray Studios, imagine that Yogi and Bobo were watching from afar. So Ray's he just posted that. Yeah, he posted that just now. So go ahead, head to the Discord. Oh wow, I didn't hear this one. And Wokus, I posted an old Bernie Sanders clip, and Wokeness did too. See if we can watch this. Can't watch through here. I think I might have to do the actual link. Another Bernie clip of him talking about immigration before he sold out.
Open borders.
Open borders.
That's a Koch brothers proposal. The
Really?
idea, of course, open borders.
Open borders.
That's a Koch brothers proposal. The
Really?
idea, of course, I mean that's a right-wing proposal, which says essentially there is no United States.
But it would make a lot of the
global
global poor richer, wouldn't it?
And it'd make everybody in America poor. Then you're doing away with the concept of a nation state. And I don't think there's any country in the world which believes in that. If you believe in a nation state, or in a country called the United States, or UK, or Denmark, or any other country, you have an obligation, in my view, to do everything we can to help poor people. Open borders. That's a Koch brothers proposal.
Wow.
The idea, of course, I mean that's a right-wing.
That's Bernie Sanders on immigration. Then I played that other clip I had with Bernie Sanders on immigration. I'm going to stick it right underneath End Wokeness. Why doesn't End Wokeness have a subscribe? Maybe doesn't want to have an option for people to subscribe. I had a clip from Bernie Sanders as well.
And that gets us to the immigration issue. If poverty is increasing and if wages are going down, I don't know why we need millions of people to be coming into this country as guest workers who will work for lower wages than American workers and drive wages down even lower than they are right now.
So that's Bernie Sanders in 2007. This clip is way after 2007.
Open borders.
Open borders.
That's a Koch brothers proposal. The
Really?
idea, of course, I mean that's a right-wing proposal, which says essentially there is no United States.
But
it
would make a lot of the global poor richer, wouldn't it?
And it'd make everybody in America poor. Then you're doing away with the concept of a nation state. And I don't think there's any country on the.
I think what Bernie's saying there is it's a right wing because they like cheap labor, I think is what he's really saying.
World which believes in that. If you believe in a nation state, or in a country called the United States, or UK, or Denmark, or any other country, you have an obligation, in my view, to do everything we can to help poor people. Open.
Man, life was different before Trump, wasn't it? Yep. But, you know, I heard somebody, I forget who it was, saying that Donald Trump divided people. I think it was Gavin Newsom, because he's basically running for president. And I'm like, nah, Gavin, Trump didn't divide people at the dinner table. Trump exposed people where they were. We were always divided, just didn't really understand it until now. So there's a lot of people that I used to be cool with and the like, and we're just not political enemies now. And I think we always were. So I appreciate that. I will diss Trump when I need to, but I do want to make sure I'm clear. I do appreciate Trump for that. There wouldn't be a MAGA. There wouldn't be a dark MAGA without Donald Trump. Dark MAGA is on middlemaga.com. I put it on some of these videos too, if you're interested in the gear. Some of this gear I wear is mine. Thanks a lot, everybody. Take care. I'm out.
The impeachment inquiry, any impeachment inquiry, regardless of party, is an extremely serious matter. Professor Gerhardt, in the impeachment inquiry into President Clinton, were there key fact witnesses that were presented during those proceedings?
They were not in the House.
Mm-hmm. In the Senate, were there any?
There were.
There were in the Senate. Now, in the impeachment, in the impeachment investigations with respect to President Trump, were there key material fact witnesses in the House?
Yes, ma'am.
There were. Are there any key material fact witnesses here today?
No, ma'am.
None. And so we are wasting our time. When we talk about a threshold of an impeachment inquiry, was there a House floor vote that had a majority of members of Congress that opened an impeachment inquiry into President Clinton?
There was.
There was. Was there a full House floor vote opening an impeachment inquiry into President Trump?
In 2019.
Is there one here for this one?
Not for this one.
There is not one here for this one. This is an embarrassment. An embarrassment to the time and people of this country. And I would ask that the chair and I would ask that this committee elevate to the promise of our duties here and comport ourselves with the consistency and practice that is required of our seats and our duty and our oath to our response.
Obviously Elon here. I'm at Eagle Pass, just arrived, and we're just gonna go around and talk to the major officials and law enforcement and whatnot that are here and just kind of eyeball the situation, get a sense for what's going on, and so you can get the kind of like the real story. Obviously Elon here. I'm at Eagle Pass, just arrived, and we're just gonna go around and talk to the major officials and law enforcement and whatnot that are here and just kind of eyeball the situation, get a sense for what's going on, and so you can get the kind of like the real story.